Oscar winners Denzel Washington, Frances McDormand, and Joel Coen of the Coen brothers joined forces in the hopes for more Oscar gold this season with Apple TV's The Tragedy of Macbeth. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review, although many of you will probably know the story, of The Tragedy of Macbeth. Of course, this is from the Shakespeare play Macbeth, the old standard. So many of you will already know a lot of things that happen in this movie. But in any case, before we get to the film in question here, I want to welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video and my channel. Please consider subscribing down below, and even hit that notification bell, perhaps, if you want to get all of my movie and TV reviews. We are ramping up the movie reviews here towards Oscar season, but not only that, finishing up my 2021 movie viewing. So there's a few movies over the last 9, 10, 12 months that I have not gotten to review yet or even see. So I'm going to be putting up a lot of reviews here these next few weeks, but a lot of them going to be under that sort of Oscar watch banner, as is this one, The Tragedy of Macbeth. Obviously, a lot of awards firepower behind it. I mentioned 3 of the names up front. Denzel Washington, multiple Oscar winner. Frances McDormand, multiple Oscar winner. Joel Coen, I believe he also has at least 2 Oscars. I think they were both for No Country of Old Men. I think he and his brother won for directing and for screenplay, but they've all been nominated even more times than that. So lots of Oscar gold in the room here. And will we see their names on some of the ballots in a few weeks? I think that is certainly a strong possibility. So if you don't know the story of Macbeth, essentially Denzel Washington plays this Scottish lord named Lord Macbeth, and he becomes convinced by these 3 witches that he's going to become the next king of Scotland. Frances McDormand here plays Lady Macbeth, and she is, in support of him in trying to gain that power. Like a lot of Shakespeare tragedies, there is a lot of murder here. There's a lot of deceit. There's a lot of that sort of thing that we've come to expect from the Bard. But Joel Coen sort of does put his own stamp on it of sorts. It's listed as written for the screen by Joel Coen, but really only one line was tweaked. The rest of the play remains exactly the same, except this is an abridged version. So he did cut out a lot of things. This becomes more of a highlight reel sort of. I mean, I think the real play, like a lot of the old Shakespeare stuff, is well over 3 hours. This clocks in at just under 2. So a good third or more of the play is gone. But really, it's almost like a cut and paste job. So when they say, written for the screen by Joel Coen, I don't know, so much about that. But this is the first directing that Joel has done without his brother Ethan, which is sort of interesting. The two of them have worked together on films for 35 plus years, probably. I know Raising Arizona was maybe their second or third, and that was 86 or 87, somewhere in that range. So they've been doing it since the mid-'80s together. So why is he stepping out for this one on his own? Well, part of it, I think, has to do with Frances McDormand, who is, a longtime collaborator with the Coen brothers, but she has always wanted to sort of do this Lady Macbeth role on the big screen. She's done it on stage before, several times, but she's married to Joel Coen. So I think it was sort of a, I'm going to let my wife live out her dream here. I have the power to do this. She's obviously a very talented and award-winning actress. So it's not going to be a hard sell for somebody to buy this project. And then, of course, Denzel, throw him into the mix, and you almost have a no-brainer. However, I don't think this movie is nearly as compelling as the pedigree of people involved might have us believe, because I really do enjoy all of these people's work. Frances McDormand's, one of her latest was Nomadland, which was amazing, A+. Denzel can typically do no wrong, so he's a winner here. And then the Coen brothers usually doing pretty well. But I had certainly a few problems with this movie, but I think first we'll talk about some of the positives and some of the awards possibilities as well. Because I think the most striking thing about this movie immediately is the look of it. So this was shot during COVID. It was shot over 2020 in a couple of months over a soundstage. They decided to do it completely sort of in-house, and it looks in that regard pretty much like a modified stage play. It looks like sort of a stage play plus, you know. It's got the look of a play that you would see of Macbeth, but obviously they're able to do a little bit more with a much bigger soundstage than you would have, you know, on just a regular stage. So it's more on a grand scale, but it really does oftentimes look like you're looking at a very high quality play, and you can see that in a lot of the backgrounds, and certainly in some of the like the forest scenes. It's pretty clear that they're not actually in a forest, but it's a very minimal set. You know, a lot of sort of drab pieces, you know, pillars and steps, but nothing too elaborate. And it's shot in black and white, and it's shot in your standard you know, the square frame of classic movies and television shows. So these are all sort of things that Joel Cohen made a conscious decision about. And I think because of that, this will be up for cinematography, and maybe a couple of those more, you know, artsy awards, maybe art direction, something like that. And in terms of the acting, I do think you're going to probably see Denzel up for Best Actor. He is really on a lot of people's best of lists. He would not be in my top 5 for the year. And I think you're probably going to see this up for Best Picture. This is the sort of film that Oscar voters gravitate towards. You know, film snobs, oh my God, it looks so beautiful, and oh, they're doing so much. And that's great. I don't disagree with some of that. But here was my big issues. Let's, I guess, get into the issues here. Everybody knew their lines, and that was great. But that was it. It was like they memorized the lines, and they said them. There's no emotion in most of these scenes. And Denzel, man, I don't know. He's never given us a bad performance, and I wouldn't go so far as to say this is a bad performance, but it is a stiff performance. It is an emotionless type of performance, and I don't usually see that from Denzel. It is worth noting that Denzel is a good 20 or so years older than the typical character of Macbeth. In fact, the one line that Cohen changed from the original script was about, you know, Lady Macbeth bearing children and this and that. They sort of changed it to be more of a, oh, well, you know, what if that had happened, kind of a thing, not in, oh, this is going to happen. And that was something that was important for McDormand to be like, look, you know, this is a woman who's gone through menopause. Like, I'm in my 60s, so is this version of Lady Macbeth that I'm portraying. So, okay, fine. That's the one like rewrite line, but and that's fine. I don't mind necessarily that they're, you know, older than the typical Macbeth characters, but they just weren't bringing the heat for me, and these actors usually do. So I'm not sure what was going wrong. And this is a character that, like I said, McDormand has played several times before. Now, there are people in this movie that do give pretty emotional and solid performances. Corey Hawkins is one of them. He was Dr. Dre in Straight Outta Compton. He is great here. And, you know, there's a minor character played by Stephen Root who, you know, is really a chameleon of acting. He plays, you know, Milton in Office Space. And, you know, he's done every, you know, he plays on Barry on HBO. He's done every type of thing. So he's always good. And he's giving us a decent performance as well, but he's very, very minor. Corey Hawkins' character is pretty minor as well. So, you know, a lot of this was sort of just boring to me. And I will admit, Macbeth was never my favorite Shakespeare thing. You know, I'm more of a Hamlet guy myself. But, you know, a lot of the classic lines are here, the double, double, toil and trouble, and a lot of the famous, you know, fights are here. And that's, I think, where it gets the most interesting is when things are actually happening. You know, people aren't just talking, but they're you know, being you know, action oriented. They're doing their sword play. They're killing. That's when it really comes to life. But just reading the dialogue, it just was so emotionless. So yeah, I think the look of this is very interesting. I think that it's going to be up for cinematography and for maybe art direction and some of those things. And I love the black and white. I'm a fan of black and white movies, so for it to be shot in black and white, it was a good choice, I thought. But for two actors who are usually, dynamo powerhouses on the screen, I didn't feel it from either one of them, to be honest. And it really was surprising. So overall, I think this is an interesting watch. I think there are way, way, way better Shakespeare adaptations out there. And I sort of teeter between a B and a B minus on this. I think I will give it the benefit of the doubt, just knowing Macbeth in its entirety isn't one of my favorite Shakespeare's anyway, so maybe I'm a little bit biased on this. So I will leave The Tragedy of Macbeth with a B. But if it gets nominated for Best Picture, which I think it might, I'm telling you right now, that is one that I will take off when I do the Oscar snubs, because there's a lot of things I can see being put on there instead of this movie. I think the film snobs are going to love it. I think the Academy is going to love it. An everyday person like me, or possibly you, I'm not really sure. I don't think it's one I'll watch again. That's for sure. So, all right, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.